Okay, sorry for the close up. All right, and just moving my chat over to the side. So if anyone hops on and has any questions, you can throw them into the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to do a hands-on review of the Newell dumbbells. Have them right here. It should still be in good range. I'll move up a little bit closer so you can see these up close, but I wanted you to kind of be able to see the setup here. I move things around a little bit in my home gym so you can see them. So we have here the Newell Classics and the stand. So I will show you an up close of both. I'll move them around a little bit, but basically what I want to do here is just do a little hands-on review and show you guys the dumbbells, what I like about them. I don't work for SmartFit, so if you have any specific technical questions, there's somebody in the chat that can help you out with that kind of stuff. I can speak as a consumer, what I like, what you can do with them, all stuff like that. But anything super technical, you can drop into the chat and they would be willing to help. And otherwise, if you're viewing this not live and after the fact, I'll do my best to get as technical as I am able. But we are, real quick, I guess I'll show you what makes these so awesome, and then we'll get into the kind of the differences between these and other adjustable dumbbells and why I personally prefer these to others, hence why I have them in my little home gym here. So I will show you an up close before we get too involved here. So when you put the dumbbell down, there's a notch here with the weight. So these are 5-pound dumbbells right now. And then when you lock them into the stand here, down, each click you hear is 5 pounds. So you can go up from 5 to 80 very, very easily. And obviously you can have each dumbbell being a different weight. So if you're doing some kind of a superset and you want to do something that's like 10 pounds and then something that's will go 40, you can very easily, I have a 10-pound dumbbell and a 40-pound dumbbell. I'm going to get a little bit more in depth with these, as you can see, but one dumbbell smaller, obviously one is bigger. As the weight goes up, the dumbbell gets a little bit larger. And then you will always see the weight total right on there. That's 10 and 40. All right, so dropping it in. All right, there we go. So first and foremost, I just want to really quickly chat about the thing that a lot of people get hung up on with these dumbbells in particular is just price. So I want to talk about price point. If you compare these to a rack of 80 pounds worth of dumbbells, so you go up from 5 to 80 pounds of dumbbells, right now, you'd probably have to spend about $1.50 per pound. Now, at the low end, you might be able to get weight that is $1 per pound. That's the absolute lowest that just weights in general are going to go, whether it's plates or dumbbells. So I did some really rough math. And if you have from 5 all the way up to 80 as full dumbbells, it's going to be about $1,400, give or take, obviously. And it depends on the materials it's made out of and all that. So if it's $1 per pound, that's the absolute cheapest you'll find a full rack of dumbbells. So these are half of that. So you're already half price, but putting price aside for these dumbbells, the thing that I don't think many people think about with the home gym, they want to mimic an actual gym as much as possible. And as you can see here, we're just in a basement right now. I'm in the corner of my basement. There's storage there. This is the amount of space I have, so it's obviously very limiting. I don't need or want a full rack all the way up to 80 pounds of dumbbells. That would probably take up the majority of this space. So when you're working out at home, you should try to maximize the space as much as possible. So if you have a machine that can double as another machine. That's ideal. If you have a rack, you want to be able to add attachments to the rack to do as much as possible in the rack itself. With dumbbells, having them be adjustable where you can have anywhere from 5 to 80, and it just takes up this space right here, is so worth it. So price aside, I don't see any reason to ever buy a full rack of dumbbells, and I don't plan to. I think anybody that's building out a home gym should have a good pair of adjustable dumbbells. It's a huge space saver. And then if you do want other machines, as you can see, I have some other machines. I have a squat rack, I have cables here. It allows you to get other pieces of equipment, which when space is limited is a huge benefit. So obviously this is still half the price of dumbbells on the cheap end, obviously. And the space saving component of it is absolutely huge. And I don't think that that's something people think about too much. And as somebody who works out at home, I can tell you firsthand that it is huge. It is a huge, huge benefit. And then, so outside of price, one other hang up people seem to have with dumbbells is just the durability and what you can do with them. So I want to show you something really quickly and explain something to you, just like the space saving component of the gym. Something else is people want to know if you can drop the dumbbells or throw them when your set is over. And much like I don't think you should have a full rack of dumbbells, I also don't think you should be throwing your equipment around. In a commercial gym, it's fine to do when they have those rubber, hex dumbbells. If you do a heavy set of bench press or something like that, and you throw the weight down, they can bounce, and it doesn't matter what happens. I mean, in my gym, before working out at home, it was this hole in the wall gym. The mirrors would always be cracked because people were throwing their dumbbells, and it doesn't matter to them that the mirror broke or if the dumbbells snap. It doesn't make a difference because it's not their equipment. When you're working out at home, you own this equipment, so you should be treating it like you actually care about it and you want it to last. So I don't recommend throwing weights at all. If you're a Olympic power lifter and you need to do these crazy lifts and throwing the weight and all that, I mean, you need to be investing in really, really heavy duty equipment. If you're using adjustable dumbbells in particular, you shouldn't be throwing them anyway. But on that note, the durability of these, first of all, no matter what weight you have on it, it's very, very sturdy. So there's no shake to it. The weights, you never have to worry about them falling off here. No matter what you do, I can hold them like this and do a goblet squat where you're holding it like this, or if you want to do something overhead like triceps, that weight, as I hit my head, the weight is never gonna come off. So they're very sturdy in that sense. And yet you can set them down. It doesn't have to be gingerly. You don't have to, be super careful putting it down. But I wouldn't drop them from up here because why would you want to run that risk? But you can. So you don't have to be super, super, super careful, but you shouldn't be throwing them. And with something like an incline press or shoulder press, if you're down here doing the exercise and then you're done, a lot of people in the gym will just throw the weights down from here. And honestly, you should never do that. First of all, if you're using the rubber dumbbells, they're going to bounce in any which direction, but you should get used to very easily getting up. Or the other thing I like to note is when you're doing any kind of an exercise, I'll do something simple, just like a bicep curl. If you're doing a bicep curl, there's two parts. There's the eccentric and the concentric portion of the lift. So you're not just lifting and then letting the weight fall. You're lifting and then at the same rate going back down to the beginning. So there's that first portion and the second. So if you're actually staying controlled on the downward part of the movement, so in this case, it's obviously this is a low impact exercise, but if you curl and then just as easily go down, there's no reason to be throwing the weight because you're keeping the motion controlled. And as I've worked out at home and as I've learned more about working out in general, it's been like 10 years I've been working out. Doing that, the slow and controlled, the second portion of the movement has made a huge difference just in my lifts and my progress in general. So it's always something I recommend. So to make a long story short, don't throw these or drop them from up high, but you shouldn't be doing that with any equipment you have. And otherwise, I don't worry about these breaking or falling apart. I don't worry about the durability, but I'm not treating them like a lunatic. I am not throwing them. I would think with any equipment, I mean, I have a squat rack and cables right here, and if I mistreat them, they're gonna break. No matter how much money you spend on them, no matter how high quality, if you mistreat your equipment, they're gonna break. So I just don't recommend doing that. Keep it slow and controlled, and you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Let's see what else we got. Yes, okay, and also, so one of the things, obviously the quick change here is the best part of these, which I'll show you a little more in detail in a second. But one of the other amazing things about these dumbbells for me is that no matter how much weight you have, this is a 5-pound dumbbell and it's flat on the end, right? And then we have an 80-pound dumbbell, which is all of the weight, and it's flat on the end. So no matter how much weight you have, it's always going to be flat. And the weight, as you go up, the dumbbell is going to get bigger. So one of the issues I have with other adjustable dumbbells on the market is that no matter how much weight you choose, so whether it's 5 pounds or, I mean, not 80, because most don't even go up to 80, most go up to 70, which is another great thing about these. So if you have 5 pounds or 70 pounds, the dumbbell is more or less the same size. So there are other brands out there that I will not throw under the bus, but there are other dumbbells that if you pick it up and you have a 15-pound dumbbell, it'll have a piece here and a piece on the end, but it'll still be just as long. So whether you have 5 pounds or 70 pounds, the dumbbell's the same size. With these, this makes a world of difference, because if you're doing something light with a 5-pound dumbbell, if you're doing a lateral raise, a curl, something like that, you don't want it to be all the way out here getting in your way. If you're doing 80 pounds, you'll be doing some kind of a press or a row, something that's not where you're not kind of flailing the weight around as much. So it doesn't matter that the weight's bigger. So it mimics actual dumbbells where the lower weight is a smaller dumbbell, which is a huge benefit. It's not something you necessarily will think about until you start using them. And if you compare it to other dumbbells, which I've used other adjustable dumbbells, it's a huge difference. So that's one benefit to these over other adjustable dumbbells. And then on the other side of it, before I bought these dumbbells, I was using these adjustable dumbbells. That's basically just a bar that you load weight onto, just like a little mini barbell that you put clips on the end. But the major downside here is that it's got daggers on the end. So whatever you're doing, if you put it down on your leg, you run the risk of just piercing a hole right in your leg. Not actually, but I mean, with heavy enough weight, with enough force, it could do some damage. So you got to get used to kind of putting the weight off to the side to rest it on your leg, versus with these dumbbells, no matter what you're doing here, you can put it right onto your leg and you're not going to hurt yourself. So that was one of the absolute biggest things for me, because even with other adjustable dumbbells on the market, the ends aren't always flat. A lot of them will have 2 dials on the end, so it kind of sticks out a little bit and you have these nubs. So when you put it down on your leg, you don't have that flat surface, versus these make it so much more comfortable. I mean, there's no reason for you to ever hammer it into your leg, but if for some reason you wanted to, you can, and it doesn't hurt. So that's been a major improvement. And obviously with these and other adjustable dumbbells, changing the weight is just an absolute nightmare. So this is 25 pounds. If I wanted to switch to 35 pounds or 10 pounds, putting the weight down, taking the clips off, changing out the plates, it's a time consuming process. And for me, I really like doing supersets and compound sets, which if you don't know is just going from one exercise to another or one weight to another weight with no rest in between. So with these dumbbells, that's obviously something you can do very easily. I'll put these back here. So every time you hear a click, it's 5 pounds. So this one was just at 80. And now it's 5. So that's how easy it is. And the best part, I mean, there are so many best parts, I guess. But when you have 5 pounds, let's say I want to go to 20, and I drop them in, I don't have to take my hand off the handle, whereas a lot of other adjustable dumbbells, you'll lock them in, and then there's dials on the end. So you'll put it down, twist the dial here, or pull something out and twist the dial, do it on the other side, and then do it on the other dumbbell. This, if I do a set and then drop, you can very easily, what weight do we want? 25 pounds. And the hand never has to come off the handle. So it makes the quick change so much easier. And for me, something I do a lot is drop sets. I have 20 pounds here. So if you do a set of dumbbell curls and you put it down, you can just twist and then you have 15. So it keeps the flow going. It makes sure that you don't have to stop and kind of ruin the flow of the exercise. With a drop set, I'll go all the way down. In the gym, people will call that running the rack, where if you're doing, we'll use just a dumbbell curl as the example. If you start at like 40 pounds, do a set of 40, 35, 30, and go all the way down to 5. But when you're in a commercial gym, you are the jerk that is standing in front of the rack and taking up all the weights. And then if somebody comes and uses the weight, then they kind of ruin your workout. Here, it's so easy. You just, you're set, pop, pop, drop it in, twist. Just like that. So it's something I do almost every workout. At the end, it's something I like to do as a finisher. Just do a big drop set. And it is so much easier than my other dumbbells that I had. Do I have something here? All right, excuse me for a second. Doesn't seem that strenuous, but I get tired. Okay. All right. Let's see. And if anyone's on, if you want to see anything in particular, we are live and I'm happy to oblige. I'm gonna just look at my notes real quick, see what else I wanted to cover on here. Okay. 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 The one other thing I want to show you up close here, outside of just this absolutely soothing roller coaster sound, I could just stand there and do this constantly. That's the best. All right, sorry. One other piece of this that is worth showing is the bar itself is, this light is way too bright. Hold on, backing it up. So the bar itself is very, very similar to an actual dumbbell in terms of the way it feels. An issue I've had with other adjustable dumbbells I've used in the past is a lot of them will use like a rubber coating over the bar, which is fine. I guess it helps so it doesn't tear up your hands, but that's not an issue for me when I'm using dumbbells. And it kind of just takes away from the actual feel of it. Like imagine using a barbell and having rubber grips over it. It takes away from the authenticity of it. And if I'm using dumbbells, obviously these are adjustable dumbbells, so they're not the same as using the dumbbells at the gym, but you want it to feel as real as possible. And this bar feels as authentic as possible. So no matter what you're doing, the feel of it in your hand is an actual dumbbell versus if you looked at something like the power blocks, it's got a completely different feel to it, a different weight distribution where it doesn't feel like an actual dumbbell. So these between the grip and the weights on the end actually have the feel of an authentic dumbbell, which I appreciate. And it's one of those things that I honestly didn't think mattered all that much. And then when you use something like the power block where the weight is distributed differently, the workouts feel very, very different. So that's something you don't really notice until you're doing it. And then you realize that it does make a pretty big difference, which is just another reason why I like these so much. And then show you real quickly here. So I'm going to move these 80s down here. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but the fact that these go up to 80 versus most going up to 70, not many super heavy adjustable dumbbells on the market. There are a few that have like add-ons to them, I think, but they're not nearly as good as these dumbbells. And most of them, I think, just go up to 70. So having that extra 10 pounds is great for me. So this twists off. So I just want to show you this really quickly. So when you get the dumbbells, so that's the dumbbell stand. So you can buy that separately. You don't have to buy the dumbbell stand. Obviously, it's really nice to be able to put the weight right up top here. So we'll show you the difference here. When you have, if you're doing something, especially with 80s, it's really nice to be able to drop it in at waist level. But no matter what, this is the stand that it comes with. So that just attached right to the stand. This just sits right on here. But if you want to just do it off the ground, did I lose the footage? Hold on. All right, I should be back. Sorry about that. I was using an external camera, which seems to have shut off, but we got the camera on the computer, so all is well. So anyway, so this is what the dumbbell comes with. So when you can put that right on the ground and lock the dumbbell in, which is the same thing we're doing here, but it's obviously a different waist level versus on the ground. So when you're doing something with 80 pounds, it's obviously less ideal to go onto the ground to change it. It's not a huge deal. You very easily can, and we can still change just as easily. And now I have the 5 pounds. For me, I much prefer having the stand to it. There's room to actually stand in between. So you lift the dumbbells and back out, which you lift the dumbbell and you can step out of the stand / rack, whatever you want to call it. But having it here at waist level makes it so much easier. So if you're in the market for these dumbbells, which if you're viewing this, odds are you probably are, I would definitely consider getting the stand. For me, I started with just the dumbbells and then got the stand after the fact. So you're totally fine to just get the dumbbells, play around with them, see how you like them. If you don't need the stand, great. But for me, as I was doing the exercises, realized that I didn't want to be coming off the ground every time I did an exercise. So I decided that it was totally worth getting the stand. It's not something you have to invest in both right off the bat. But if you're like me, you're not going to regret getting the stand at all. And it is a huge, huge bonus. It's definitely worth it. But if money's tight, if you're not sure if you're going to get use out of it, you certainly don't have to do both at the same time. Start with the dumbbells and then play around with them. If you feel you need the stand or that it will improve your workouts, then definitely go for them. I don't regret it. I'm really glad that I did. But you can start, like anything in a home gym, I always start with the essentials and then add on, like the squat rack that I have. I started with just a rack, and then I started getting the different attachments for the rack as I felt I needed them. Because you don't necessarily know what you need or want off the bat, so you don't necessarily need to spend the money on stuff right off the bat. You could always upgrade after the fact. So I would get the 80-pound dumbbells. If you know you want the stand, go for it. If not, get the dumbbells, and then you can always get it after the fact, just like I did. But it is an awesome addition, and you will not regret it. So one last thing I want to show you, if there aren't questions here, I'm going to move this a little bit. I'm going to go onto the ground a little bit. So one thing that's really great about these is that they're obviously round, they're a dumbbell, but they have a flat bottom to them. So you can do something on them without them rolling on you. So I guess I should get the other dumbbell, shouldn't I? We'll go with 2 different weights just because why not? So we got a 35-pound and an 80-pound, but if you want to do something like push-ups, say, and you want it to be off the ground, you can do it on these and they don't roll on you. I'm like 180, 185 pounds or so. So I'm putting a decent amount of weight onto these, and even trying to move a little bit, there's no wiggle at all. So a really nice bonus that they're not going to move on you, but if you do need to move them, you can still, once you get them off the bottom there, they do still roll. So if you need to move them and it's too heavy for some reason, you can still roll it, but once it's on the flat bottom, it's not going to move on you, but you can still move it. So I love that. I think that is a huge benefit. A lot of people will do renegade rows, which if we come down here, my bench is really in my way, but then you do a row and then back down. So that's a nice bonus. Most dumbbells are going to be perfectly round. So the fact that that's not going to roll on you is awesome for me. So there are not questions. I pretty much covered what I want to cover here. I'll wait a minute if anyone wants to see anything in particular. But I do think I covered what I wanted to on here. I can show you when the weights aren't on it, just so you can see. The weights are separate here, but they lock in to each other. So it's very easy. If you need to move it for any reason and you didn't want to pick up the whole thing, you can move the weights individually. But then no matter what, all these pieces are separate, but they lock in and they stay very, very sturdy. So there you go. You lock it in and you're all set. All right, that is what I got. Appreciate the time. I'll probably do another one of these at some point. I like doing these hands-on reviews so you guys can actually see them up close and how they work. Yeah, so as we go forward, if I think of anything else in future videos, I'll be sure to show those off. Otherwise, I think we are good here. So thank everyone for watching. Appreciate the time. We'll do this again sometime.